Daith da, Obi Nakan. Welcome to podcast number 160. So I think last week I recorded the podcast, on Thursday evening. So Friday, we had a lovely little day Friday. We had two services at Glyn Valley, one right early in the morning and one later on in the afternoon, but both were private. But both were lovely little services. We had the 9 o'clock there where you just have, just a dozen or so people, which was really nice. And then in the afternoon again, private service, just family. And they both went really well. So that was my day on Friday. And then going on to Saturday, you may well have seen, actually, I did put a photo on our RJ Bray Facebook page. We had the interment of a true bridger. And that's dear Ken. And that was at Egglesell Church. And Ken, born and bred in Wadebridge. I think he only lived away from the town, if I'm right, for about 3 months come the end. Apart from his time, obviously, when he was away at Aden and stuff like that. But we had a lovely service. The reason I put the photo on, you may well have seen it, because it was just family there, plus one other. And that was a black cat. Now, I don't know if it was Charlie Charles or no. Everybody local, you'll know what I mean by that. Now, Charlie Charles is a black cat. He's a celebrity in town. In fact, he's that famous, he's got his own Facebook page. And he's always seen around town. I think he was nominated for some award last year. I don't know if it was Most Connected Cat or something like that. But anyway, there was a black cat there with us on Saturday. I just did a few readings of committal prayers and everything. And the cat was there round our legs, meowing all the time. 'Twas a booty. And then when I finished, he went and he laid on a tombstone. And then he come back and we had to catch him quick because he almost went to jump in the ashes pit. But, say a final goodbye to Ken, but say all went well. And it was quite nice, really. Charles, if it was him, it might not have been in. But the black cat, I did take a lovely photo. He was sat there by the grave. And then in the afternoon, we went Lanai Drop with James, Gemma and the boys. So that was a good weekend there to start the weekend anyway. That was brilliant. And then Sunday, it was the Martin Jennings Memorial Run. And at last, it should have been last week, should have been the week before, but the weather was bad. But I'll tell you what, the weather on Sunday was brilliant. And we met up in the morning. I mean, there's bikes everywhere. It is fantastic. I love it. Went up Tollgate and met up. 4 of us went down together. Steve Curthew, brother Jason, Ray Tancock and myself. And we went down, and you go down to Truro to the park and ride. And they're estimating, I don't know the exact number, it was between 1,500 and 1,600 motorbikes there. So you get there early. I might have talked about it last year, actually, but you get there early and you're just walking around. It's almost like a jumbo sale sort of atmosphere. And I met up with me cousin Steve and Sophie too, and all friends that you haven't seen perhaps for a while. So we had a brilliant time there. And then 11 o'clock, you start off on the ride. And the first half of the ride is always a secret which way you go. But we headed off towards St. Stephen's and that, but then ended up going through Lenivet, back through our place here, Egglesale, up the bypass, and to Cornwall Services for dinner. So you're there then, I suppose, for, must be a good hour, a bit more. Cornwall Services, again, meeting up with mates and everything. And then you do the second half. Now, not everybody goes on the second half. Some of them peel off and some have already gone. They don't actually go in Cornwall Services. But the second half is always the same every year. And because of that, because people know the route, the streets are just lined with people. It's fantastic. You're going down the A30, all the flyovers. You've got loads of people there waving to you and everything. And then you end up in Beacon. Now, Beacon obviously is close there to Camborne. And I usually meet up with my old mate, Sue Rose there. She was ex here from Wadebridge, and she lives down there now. But I was quite a way back, and I just couldn't get down the streets. You just park the bikes up. I couldn't get down to Beacon to see her this year. But and then after that, you go down, end up down Falmouth. A brilliant time. I absolutely loved it. I have put some photos on my personal Facebook page. And the last I saw, I think it was up nearly £9,000 had been raised for Children's Hospice South West. So a fantastic cause and a fantastic day out. So then Monday this week, exactly the same as Friday last week, which is strange. 2 services, crematorium, one again 9 o'clock, a private lovely service, and then in the afternoon, later it was 4:30 this one, another private service. But again, both very similar to the ones we had on Friday, and both went really well. So then on Tuesday, we had Courtney's service. And his boys, they done a lovely tribute to him. I did just now put a photo on our Facebook page because they did up a pickup tipper truck, I think it was, to a tipper truck, and they decorated it. And that's what Courtney went to Glyn Valley on his last journey, part of the Wade Bridge and then in through Bodmin. So, it was a lovely turnout as well, and I'm sure he would have loved it. And then on to Wednesday. So Wednesday we were fairly relaxed. We had Betty's funeral and it was early-ish in the morning, and then there's messages come through. The road's blocked between Wadebridge and Bodmin, just past Crone there. There's been a car accident. So, of course, what was a lovely, relaxed atmosphere, all of a sudden thinking, crumbs, we got to get on because you can't be late to the crematorium. So you can't go the normal way. You've got to think which way you're going to go. So I know before we've gone up Pendavy Hill, and that's been absolutely chaos. So we decided we'd go up through St Mabon. And the trouble is, whenever there's a roadblock around Cornwall, around our part anyway, all the side roads going through the neighbouring villages and that, 'tis fine. You carry right on through if it weren't for the fact that there's people coming from the other side using the same road to get from Bodmin to Wade Bridge. So it was a bit chaotic. You meeting cars, they man to reverse, you man to reverse. But all was well. We got there on time. And I say that was for Betty's funeral, or as everybody knew her, Auntie Bet or Auntie Betty. And lived all of her life, apart from the last 3 years, was it, I think, where she was in a nursing home in Callington. But apart from that, all of her 102 years, so that'd be 99 years, born and bred in Wadebridge. And she was so well loved and respected in the town. And it just showed, the chapel was full. For a lady that age, there ain't going to be nobody there close to her age, really. And it was lovely to hear her story. And I know I did think early on, if only I'd started the podcast earlier, because it would have been a lovely to be talking to her about her life in Wadebridge. But by the time I'd started the podcast, she'd already gone into the nursing home. But I say we had a lovely farewell to her. But apart from that, it's been a fairly quiet week, really. I had interment of ashes today in Char with Mike's yesterday down at Rock. But looking at the diary, next week 'tis all going to change. Right, well, that's enough from me. We're now over to the first part now of my interview with my dear old friend, Phil Trevena. Now, I've spoken about this before, but I've got this routine I've got to do when I start recording. I have to get the equipment on airplane mode so that I don't get any interference, add my microphone, get me tripod, and fast forward because I need to have a gap to do what I'm doing now, sort of thing. I haven't got the editing skills or the software to add bits to the beginning afterwards if I haven't got the gap. So I usually forget one of them. But anyway, what happened was last week, me and Phil, we did the interview, which was fine. I started it. We was about 7 minutes through. I said, hell, Phil, we got to stop. And of course, I'd forgot to fast forward about 20 minutes for this bit. Now, I've only ever done that once before, and that was for Ken and Rose Sargent. If you look back through, listen to the podcast, there's no introduction. I go straight into it. But I realised that when we was quite a way through. Well, with this one with Phil, I was about 7 minutes in, and I thought we can retrieve this. So I stopped it, and dear old Phil, oh dear him, you see the look on his face. I said, Phil, we got to do all this again. So we went right back to the beginning, and we started again. But I'll tell you what, it sounds proper. It really does. So we go over now to Phil. It's lovely, really, because we've been talking about the Martin Jennings ride, and how we was down Beacon, and how we was down Camborne. I know a place very close to Phil's heart. So 'tis lovely how we follow on. He's gonna hate me for that. It's lovely how we're going to follow on with Phil Trevena. So I'll hand over to Philip now, and then I'll speak to you directly with me Cornish word of the week and me Cornish dialect. So here it is. Get on, Philip. How be knacking?
Yeah, proper, thanks, Dave. Proper job.
Proper. This seems almost like we've done it once before, doesn't
Well,
it?
it's spooky, that, and it's like we've rehearsed it, really.
I will explain to everybody what we did do, but there we are. So this will sound brilliant because we've done it already, kind of thing.
Well, I've probably forgotten, though, to be fair.
Well, thank you for coming today. Much appreciated. We'll talk about your life and everything. And I think we'll start off perhaps where you was born and brought up, which was it Camborne? I can't remember.
I had that funny feeling you was going to say that somehow, because you know I wasn't. I was born and brought up in Redruth, and I lived there for 20-odd years before I escaped.
Easy mistake to make.
Well, it would be for you, but not if you come from Redruth or Camborne again.
Oh, brilliant. Well, if we go back then, perhaps tell us a bit about mother and father and their families and that. Do you want? Yeah.
Both mother and father are Cornish, and obviously with a name like Trevena, father's family go back for generations in Redruth.
Yeah.
And I'd done quite a bit of research into the family, and going back along, nearly all the ancestors were miners. There were 2 or 3 publicans, and the turn of the 1800s, there was a father and son who were watching clockmakers in Redruth.
Right, okay.
And then I started looking at mother's side, because her maiden name was Coleman, without the E.
Yeah.
And her grandmother was a Hawkins from Sinizzi.
Right, yeah.
So I've done some more digging there, and then there's Bates, and there's Kittos, and obviously connections with Padstow, Port Isaac, and Cardinham.
Yes.
So although I'm from Redruth, I have got good roots up this way as well.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. And like say Coleman, there's lots of Colemans up here, some with an E and some without an E,
right.
like, you
That's
know.
right.
So you were actually born Redruth, home birth or no then?
No, I was born in one of the nursing homes in Redruth, although there was the main maternity hospital for Coleman, I think, in Redruth. So the vast majority of people of that time were born in Redruth.
Yeah, okay.
That's where the hospital was. But I was, I was born at Tremorville, which was a nursing home in Green Lane. And then I lived in Raymond Road then until I got married when I was 21, I think.
Okay. So mother and father's Christian names?
Yeah, mother was Margaret and dad was Ken.
Yeah.
And dad worked in Station Hill in Redruth in the offices of 2 Malaysian mining companies.
Right.
And I think going back along, when the mines closed in Cornwall, a lot of the miners went abroad. Some went to America, some went to the Far East.
Right.
And I think the ones that went to the Far East realised what they were doing and set up a couple of companies,
right.
the registered offices of which were in Redruth. And then Dad worked there until they closed down, which was the mid-70s, and then he moved down to Geever.
Get away.
The mine down at St Just.
Yeah.
And you travelled to and fro every day then.
Brilliant. Lovely. Because there's no mines open at the minute, but they are trying to reopen one, aren't they?
Yeah, that's South Crofty. They're spending millions and millions there, but the problem is it's shut in 1998 and flooded. So before they can do anything, they've got to pump it out. So they've been pumping for quite a while down there now, and I think they're down to about 350 fathoms, and it's 6 foot to a fathom.
Crikey, yeah.
And they've got to the old pumping station, which they're now clearing out to put new pumps in there to keep the mine pumping out.
Right, and will that be tin then that they'll mine
That'll
again?
be tin and copper, I think.
Ah, right, okay.
So I think tin lies underneath copper.
Right.
And they've done a lot of test drills and found that there are extensive resources still deep down, which the old miners couldn't get to.
Brilliant. Because some of the mines you see on the cliffs actually go out under the sea, don't they? Is that right?
Yeah, well, when Dad was at Geaver, I was able to go down underground a few times, and they actually pumped out Levant with a view to
Get
opening it up.
away.
But Levant flooded due to breach in the roof for the mine, if you like.
Yeah.
So they put a dye into the water, and where the dye came up in the sea, they sent my divers down, and they were able to work out where the breach was, and then they hired a boat, and over a period of several weeks, they built like a concrete raft, which was a plug in the roof of the mine, and eventually they pumped it out. But as this is going on, so the price of tin was dropping.
Well, yeah.
And eventually it wasn't viable to the mine to continue, so it closed down.
Yeah.
And now it's a very, very good museum.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, right on. So, mother and father, so you was one of three boys.
I was one of three. I was the youngest. Next one up is Dave, and he moved away, and he's still back living in Redruth now. And then Mike was 9 years older than me. And he moved up to Scotland, but he passed away a few years ago now.
Right, okay. Right. So then schooling, primary school first, was that just boys or mixed boys and girls?
No,
or what was
it was mixed. It was Trewergy Infants and Junior School.
Yeah.
Both my brothers went there. It was fair-sized classes. I think there were about 42 in the class.
Right.
Which was a heck of a lot back then.
Yeah.
So I was there. I think the headmistress was Miss Dyer, and then there was Miss Hunt, Mr. Thomas, who was on the lifeboat at St. Dive, and it was good on the weekends because he'd come back and tell us what he'd been on to that weekend. Yeah. And then I took me 11 plus and somehow passed, and I went to the grammar school.
Right.
Which was the same as both my brothers had done, my dad and his brother. And when I was there, one of the old teachers, Taffy Jones, he was the English teacher, he was new when my dad was there. So he remembered my dad and me and brothers as well.
So did Camborne have their own primary school and grammar school?
Yes, they would have done, but the grammar school in Camborne was for girls only.
All right.
So any girls from Redruth that passed 11 plus went to Camborne.
Oh, I see.
And likewise for the boys at Camborne, they came into Redruth.
Oh, okay.
So we taught them to read and write, really. But Camborne had its own secondary school as well, which I think was at Tryswithian. There's another one at Poole, and Redruth had Tolgus.
All right.
And then obviously after a few years, that was all disbanded and all the schools amalgamated then.
Yeah. So school teachers and that there then at a grammar school?
Yeah, grammar school. The headmaster was Mr. Parks.
Right.
The deputy head was Mr. Brown. And in my last year there, we had a new teacher come in for geography and PE, and it was a chap called Terry Pryor.
Right.
And Terry Pryor played rugby for Redruth from Cornwall Barbarians.
Yeah.
Lovely chap. And he was really good, but unfortunately it was the last year I was there.
Yeah.
So I didn't get a lot of time with him.
No.
But I enjoyed my time there, although I think for 2 years we had to do Latin.
Blimey.
Which was a waste of time for me.
Yeah.
And then we went on to do things like algebra and whatever, which was of no benefit to me whatsoever, as you can imagine.
Exactly. So do you keep in touch? Is there many of your schoolmates still around then? Do you see them or no?
Yes. Obviously, moving away from Redruth, I've lost contact with quite a few, but I still keep in contact with some.
Right.
I go down to Redruth once a month to the almost grumpy old men's breakfast.
Which I think you might be overqualified for, but that's another thing.
That's very kind of you to say that. And it started about 2 or 3 years ago by a chap called Nigel Jeffrey.
Right.
And he lost his wife, and once a month, 2 or 3 of his mates would take him out for breakfast just to have a bit of a chat.
Yeah.
And that grew month by month. And it's now well organised, and we meet on a Friday, the last Friday in the month, normally at Penvent in Redruth. And the last time, I think we had 120 there.
Get away.
And it's designed for men just to get together, to have a chat. We don't talk about politics.
No.
it's normally about rugby and things like that.
Yeah.
And we always get a local charity to come in and give us a short talk, and we have a whip around, and everybody puts a couple of quid into
Oh,
it.
beauty.
So it's a nice way of keeping in touch with the people that you grew up with or play rugby with.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously rugby, Campbell and Redruth, more Redruth, but very good rugby. Was football involved at all at the school then, or no?
It was, but when we had Taffy Jones there, he was a big rugby man, obviously.
Yeah.
We had Terry Pryor there, it was rugby. And the PE teacher was called Fernley Furs, and he played rugby for Redruth and Cornwall as well.
Yeah.
So it was predominantly rugby, and that would be played the first term up until Christmas. Christmas to the summer term would be football, and then cricket in the summer.
That's same as yeah.
But it was really a rugby area down there because we had so many teams. There was Redruth Albany, Ormdales. I used to play for the grammar school old boys, Vior, Caharrick, St Day, Lanner, all in that small area.
Yeah, exactly. Has Redruth got a football team then?
Yeah, they have, I think. Yeah, there are a few teams down there, but it was never really anything that interested me. Because when I did play football, I played football like I played rugby, and I used to get warned.
I can't believe that.
Well, we'll move on from that.
Yeah, we'll go back to rugby directly.
Yeah.
So I think that pretty much covers your schooling. Did you have canteens then? Because when we was at the boys' school, there was no canteen for dinner.
When I was at the infants and junior school, it was only about a 10-minute walk to home.
Yeah.
So I'd never stay for lunch and I'd go home. When I went to the grammar school, there was a canteen, so I'd stay for that. But it was also the school hall. So in the mornings, it would be used for assembly. And then all the gym equipment would come out.
Right.
And if you had PE the last period before lunch, it was only half a period because the rest of it, you had to get all the tables and chairs out for the canteen.
Is lunch like dinner, is that?
Do you know what? As soon as I said that, I thought he's going to pick me up on that.
I love it.
That's my grammar school education.
Exactly. You're a bit better than we.
Yeah,
we was dragged up. Oh, well, I never. Oh, payday. So then you left school then, what, 16? What?
I can't remember if I was 16 or 17. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was always fascinated by mining, and I'd like to have gone to Camborne School of Mines.
Right.
But it's very science orientated, and I wasn't no good at that. So I did a term of A-levels, and then I left. And back then, jobs were plentiful.
Yeah.
My brother had been in the bank, uncle had been in the bank, cousins had been in the bank. So mother said, well, see if you can get in the bank.
Yeah.
And I did.
Yeah.
And I joined NatWest in Redruth, which is where my brother used to work. When I joined, they said that when I'd done my initial training, I'd like to go up to London and do relief work, which again is what my brother did. But I went up on a course and I lodged with my brother for that week, and I had to take the tube into central London every day. It was only 5 days, but the first couple of days I thought, well, this is great, I'll enjoy this. By the 5th day, I wanted to come home.
Yeah.
I'd had enough.
Yeah.
So I came back and said, no, I've changed my mind. I don't want to do that. And I had to move because I'd done my 12 months there. So I went down to Penzance.
Right, okay.
And it was ideal for me because father being down at Geever, I could travel to and fro with him every day.
Yeah, brilliant. Oh, that's good. Yeah, okay. So how long did he stay in the bank then?
Well, I did about 4.5 years, I think.
Right.
I got married in 78 and moved to Penzance and lived down there. That was in the May, and I was getting fed up with the bank then because there was too much paperwork to do. So I thought I'm going to go for a change of career, and I'd always thought about the police, and I applied, and somehow I got in. And had I not done that, then I would have gone for the RAF.
Oh, right. Yeah,
But,
okay.
I put my paperwork in. The local sergeant came round to do a home visit, as they used to do back then.
Did they really?
Yeah, oh yeah. They said, we're going to come round and see you tomorrow. So they come round, look at your home.
I see.
And just generally it was an informal interview at home.
Yeah.
And then I had to go up to Middlemore, and it was just for a day. And in the morning, you write a bit about yourself. You had a medical. There was no fitness tests or anything.
No.
And in the afternoon, I had an interview, and they said, yeah, when would you like to start? I said, well, how about starting next year? So I started 2nd of January 1979.
Right, okay.
And it was a very, very bad Christmas, New Year with snow.
Okay.
And even Penzance got snowed in. And the day I had to go up to Exeter, I couldn't get out of the estate because the snow was so bad. So I had to walk down to the main road and then get a lift into the station.
Oh, dear.
And then up to Middlemore for the first week's training.
Yeah.
So the first week, it was basically just filling out forms, being issued with uniform.
Yeah.
And then it was going to be 10 weeks at Champmarl.
Right.
Which was the main regional training centre, because all the women went up to Cumbraen in Wales.
I see, yeah.
And the blokes went up to this place in Dorchester. But because of the weather, the first week was cancelled, so they gave us a week's holiday, which we thought was great.
Yeah.
But of course, it was taken off your annual leave.
Oh, no.
And then because we'd lost a week because of the weather, we had to do the 10 weeks into 9 up there.
Yeah.
So it was a bit compacted, but it was different. It wasn't what I was used to. It was very disciplined. There were a lot of ex-servicemen there.
Right.
The first time we went up there, it was getting dark. It was thick mist and fog. There was snow on the ground, and it was an old manor house with a long driveway, and there were big orange spotlights. It felt like going into Colditz.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was a lovely setting up there, and they built extra rooms, swimming pool and stuff, and that's where we did our sort of 9 weeks basic training.
God, brilliant. Well, I think that's a good place to stop for this week. And then next week, we start with Phil and we follow him through his police career. Now, for my Cornish word of the week, I thought I would do perhaps a translation of Redruth, or Druth, as they would say down that way. Because like I said before, a lot of the Cornish, you get rid of the first syllable really quick. So Redruth. And that's Resruth, I think you'd say. Resruth. It comes from originally, which is forward red. It's back to front. Like many things in Cornish, it's the wrong way around. Like mit and da is morning good. So Resruth is forward red because there was a little stream there. And so that's where you get the word for ford. And the stream was so discoloured with the iron oxide from the tin mining that it turned the water red. So that's what they say. I mean, somebody might correct me, but I'm pretty sure that that's where Redruth comes from. Resruth. So there we are. And for me Cornish dialect of the week, I think I'll do one. I don't think I've done it before, but if somebody's a bit roughy ways, how can I put it? They're a bit rough. I'm a bit roughy ways. You say, God, they're rough as rats. They're rough as rats. But I did come across a variation of that, actually, which is quite appropriate for today's podcast, maybe, when they say, he's rough as a badger. Rough as a badger. So there we are. Right, well, I'll say goodbye to you now and speak to you again next week. I hope you have a good week, and we'll come back with part 2 of Phil's interview next week. So wish you well. Do Guinness, Carnobis Fickan.